Hi, folks. This session is about performance management. It's one of the last sessions that we have in the class that we want to cover. I have shared some in class, online. There were a couple of classes where I shared online through conference. We talked about it, but in a few classes, we weren't able to do it because there was some issue with Schoology today. Anyways, I thought I'd upload this video lecture to make sure that other than the videos that I have shared on performance management, I just want to make sure that whatever content there is on the PowerPoint slides, you understand that as well. I'm just going to take 5-10 minutes to go through it. What is performance management? Performance management is the use of performance data to affect organizational culture, systems, set goals, allocate resources, affect policies and program, and share results. Now, understand that any organization that is a well functioning organization, they have some measures. If you're not measuring something, then you don't know how it is going, right? So, performance tasks or job roles, people have come from different backgrounds in an organization, right? So we've learned that in the previous classes. And they have certain goals or objectives to achieve. How well they're achieving those objectives is called their performance. And organizations tend to manage that performance and get data as to how these folks are performing, because otherwise if you're not measuring the performance, then how do you know who is doing well, who is not? Think of your situation right now. As students, your performance is managed as well, right? In a way that we get data as to how your quiz scores are, how you're doing on your assignments and test and midterm and final and all those things, and what your class participation is like. So all those different things, we have data on all of that, right? So we are assessing you in different ways. How do you do on quizzes, on assignments, and class participation, and how do you do analysis, and all those things, right? So this is all to measure how you are learning. Similarly, in organizations, we have performance management systems that make sure and get feedback from whether the employee is performing what they're supposed to, the way they're supposed to, and achieving targets as they're supposed to. And then if they are not, then they are provided support for that. There is a formal system called a performance appraisal system, which is like your report card. So at the end of the year, in most cases, otherwise, it's biannual as well. Some companies do it, some quarterly as well. But in any case, they have some system or formal system of getting feedback about a person's performance. A 360 appraisal system, performance appraisal, is one of the performance appraisal systems that are prevalent in organizations today. So what they do is, in a 360 performance appraisal, which is one of the many ways you can assess performance of people. In 360, what you do is you get feedback about a person's performance from their top management, from their supervisor, anybody who they interact with on a daily basis, on a regular basis. So it could be your team members, people who report to you, your supervisor whom you report to, your co-workers, your team members who are not reporting to you, you are not reporting to them, but they're working alongside besides you, and your customers and vendors as well, and then your own assessment of how you performed. So all that feedback is taken into a report, and they see that where you are doing well and where you need help. Okay, so that is what performance management and performance appraisal is. Performance appraisal is a part of is one of the tools of performance management. HR practitioners, training development practitioners in organizations, they manage people's performance, and they let managers know, leaders know, that in that department, in that division, in that team, how many people, who are doing well, who are not doing well. And it is on various levels. Performance management is done on organization level, team level, and individual level. So for individuals, there is a performance appraisal system. For teams, all the performances of all the team members make up the performance appraisal of a team, and so on and so forth, right? So performance management is a very important tool, is a very important system in an organization, where you are in terms of how you're achieving your goals can be measured through those systems. Organizations who do not measure performance of their employees don't do well. They say that you can only improve what you measure, right? So that is pretty much true in my own experience as well. So what does it how does it play out in practical life? Imagine you have a sales manager in your team, and he has or she has a target of 100 sales. So if they achieve the 100 sales, then they're meeting their target. They're performing 100% on the task they are given. If they are not, then whether it's a 90% or 80% or 70%, whatever it is, right? So the threshold companies have to decide that 90% is still excellent, 80% is good, very good, 70% is good, right? And below 60%, just like your report cards and grades, if somebody, a sales manager, is only getting less than 50 or 60 sales per year against a target set for 100, then they will be given support, they will be given training, they will be given counseling, they will be encouraged and motivated to work better, they will be given support by their team members, and many different ways, whichever way they can be supported by the organization, so that they can improve their performance. But if they do not, then most probably they'll be let go at the end of the year, right? During their performance appraisal, if it is deemed that they have not performed up to the level required and they haven't gotten the sales that they were supposed to, they'll be counseled for it, they'll be asked for it. So there could be other environmental reasons, market reasons for not getting those sales. For example, in a situation like this, where you have COVID-19 virus and businesses are slow, and an organization can see, yeah, it makes sense that for this quarter we were not able to achieve the targets we wanted to achieve, and that's perfectly fine if they want to be give more time to people, but still gives you a very solid view of how people are performing. There are 4 stages of planning, performance management model that's there. It has 4 basic stages. There is planning, in which goals are set, individual metrics are defined. So goals are set, and they are concrete goals. Like, this is how many sales. If you're talking about sales, then it has to be a number. You cannot set a goal like you have to achieve high number of sales, because high number of sales doesn't mean anything. What is high number? For some organizations, it could be 100, 500, 1,000, 100,000. Doesn't mean anything, right? So it has to be objective, it has to be realistic, it has to be measurable, and it has to be time bound. So you can't say, so you have a sales target of 100 and you have your whole lifetime to achieve it. It doesn't work like that. So you say you have a sales target of 100 and you have this period, 6 months, a year, to achieve those. So that is planning. Monitoring, goals are actively tracked and feedback is given. What that means is, say for example, if you have a target of 100 for a year, that means you have to track it. You don't come at the end of the year and say, well, I couldn't do it. No, there are systems in place, processes in place, which make sure that throughout this whole period of your performance management, your goals that you have set for yourself, your organization has set for yourself, are being tracked, are being monitored, right? So they'll say, yeah, so if you have 100 sales, that means that you have about 9 or 8 sales to do a month. You can break it down into monthly. And if you have 8 monthly sales to do, that would make about 96 sales or 100, close to 100 sales a year in 12 months. Then you break it down into weeks. If it is 8 per month, then it is 2 per week for each of the 4 weeks, right? And so on and so forth. You can do it on a daily basis, you can track. And then when you're tracking their performance, then you can see who is lagging behind, who needs support, and who are doing well. If they're achieving their daily targets, monthly targets, then there are chances perhaps that they'll be achieving their yearly targets as well. Developing is poor performance is addressed and potential further develop. So we have to figure out who are the folks who are not doing well and provide them the support they need. There could be many factors, affecting their performance, and we have to figure that out. Maybe the person has moved to a new region, the sales manager, and they have to develop the region from scratch. They don't have these contacts as they had before, so on and so forth, right? So they have to develop that, takes time. So you have to figure out really that what kind of support, what kind of training and development these people need. Sometimes if somebody is new to sales, a new salesperson, then you organize workshops and seminars and trainings for them to understand the sales process, how they can do sales calls effectively, how they can cold call, how they can manage their sales queue and sales channel, sales pipeline, how to develop leads, and so on and so forth. So there is a little bit of training and development involved. And then there is rating and reward. So you've done planning, monitoring, developing. Then at the end of the day, what you have to do, considering all of it, is you have to rate performance. So who's doing well, who's not doing well. You have to reward good performance, and you have to have consequences for bad or poor performance, right? So consequences of good performance could be promotions, positions of more responsibility, cash reward, um, and benefits, perks, and so on and so forth. Consequences could be that you're let go, or you're demoted, you're put under someone whom you can work with, right? One way of performance management is a system known as Balanced Scorecard. It is quite popular in organizations. I don't want to go into detail of that, but simply put, it has four dimensions. One is financials, the other one is internal business processes, the third is learning and growth, and the fourth is customer. So what it does is basically it measures organizations' performance against financials, which means revenues, profits, cost management, cost reduction, things like that. Internal business processes means your operations, how effective and efficient your operations are, right? Whether your standard operating procedures are working or not, whether you had got right kind of key KPIs, which is key performance indicators, whether you have the right kind of SLAs, service level agreements with the vendors, whether you have the right kind of systems and things like that, right kind of technology to be able to deliver what you want to deliver. Learning and growth is about training and development, career development, personal development, group development, team development. People need to learn new things, right? So if there is a new technology in place, people need to learn about that. If there is a new product, people need to learn about that. And then the customers, the feedback you get from customers, across customers, what you're telling them that you're going to deliver, and then are you delivering it against those goals or against those promises or not. So Balanced Scorecard basically is a scan of the whole organization and giving you a view of how you are doing on these four major dimensions of financials, internal business processes, learning and growth, and customer. And the last topic that I want to discuss in this video is employee relations. Now, employee relations is managing your relations with your employees. This could be your present employees, which is very simple because you interact with your current employees in lots of different ways. You have given them tasks, they perform those tasks, and you get feedback of how they are performing. You have coffee with them, you have a relationship with them, you're sharing ideas with them, you're going hanging out with them, you have friendship with them, all those things, but you are managing those relations with your potential employees as well. So when you are creating a pool of employees to apply to the jobs that you are posting, as we studied in recruitment, what you're doing is you're developing relations with future employees, potential employees. You are presenting yourself as a brand of choice that, hey, don't go to our competitors, come to us, like Hansen does, right? Like we do. We say, don't go to that college, come to us, we are better. So this is basically what you do. You try to develop a relationship, whether it's with students or with potential employees. And with past employees, somebody has retired from your company, you still pay them that retirement salary or something like that. So you keep involved with them as well. The other thing is communication, making sure that the people have the right kind of information and the right people have the right information at the right time. That's very important, right? So salespeople, finance people, HR people all need different kind of information. People at different levels, CEO, VPs, senior managers, and frontline employees, they all need different kinds of information or in communication, right? So making sure that all that needs to be communicated is communicated. Employee counseling is one of the dimensions, and what means that whether it is coaching and mentoring and training and development, one-on-one, on-job training, or any kind of process that you have in an organization where people are counseled, developed to improve performance, to to make sure they remain a good fit with the organization culture, and things like that. Employee discipline. This is about attendance, punctuality, and making sure people are showing up and doing their job as they're supposed to, making sure that they're complying with all the policies and regulations and processes that we have in an organization. And lastly, about employee rights. Any organization where you are working as an employee, you have certain rights. For example, you have a right to refuse work that you seem unsafe, right? So you can refuse work. That is a right that is given to you by the federal government, by the provincial government, right? So you have a right to know that what are the materials or hazardous materials that you're working with, what kind of work environment, what kind of weights you will be lifting, or how your travel is going to be, how frequently are you going to be traveling, what kind of impact it would have on your daily life, on your personal life. So all that information to know it, and if you are laid off, or if you get sick, for example, what kind of support the organization will be able to provide. So in those different kinds of situations, employees have certain rights that they can exercise. Your right to share your ideas and be able to do your job as you're supposed to. All those kind of things make up your employee rights. So this was a short, brief video lecture about performance management and employee relations. It's going to be part of your exam as well. So have a look at it on the PowerPoint slides, and also do look at the discussions and video lectures that I have posted on Schoology as well. All right, take care.